We had lost a couple of family members. Our parents passed away at young ages. We'd lost some friends who were too young. And we realised that life was too short and that if we really wanted to get out and do it, we wanted to do it while we were young and fit enough and healthy enough so that we could walk the gorges and do the hikes and snorkel with the turtles, not just sit back and look at it.
When you're sitting out the front of the reef in a rubber boat and a shark's trying to take your fish, he's going to take your fish no matter what, but you don't want him too close to your boat. So we've had one really, really scary time where the shark got really too close to the pontoon, gave us a big fright.
This is the Big Lab Chats podcast by All Around Oz, and today I have with me Lee and Daz from The Salty Life. Thanks for joining me today, guys.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Third time lucky. We're all laughing because this is our third attempt at this interview, and we've had all sorts of technical difficulties with sound and all sorts. So, yeah, today's meant to be. It's all working fine, so we'll get stuck in. Now, can you just go through, introduce yourselves and let us all know what started your trip around Australia and where you're calling in from today, and basically what's your setup and what's your backgrounds?
Okay.
Ladies first.
First. Okay. So I'm Lee and this is Daz, obviously. And so what started us off on this journey was that 12 years ago, we did a trip in our Kombi for 5 months. We took long service leave and we came over to WA in the Kombi and camped along the coast, and we absolutely loved it. And we've always been campers, but we'd never done a really long trip. That was our first long trip. And we definitely knew this was the life for us. We had lost a couple of family members. Our parents passed away at young ages. We'd lost some friends who were too young. And we realised that life was too short and that if we really wanted to get out and do it, we wanted to do it while we were young and fit enough and healthy enough so that we could walk the gorges and do the hikes and snorkel with the turtles, not just sit back and look at it. So we set ourselves a goal to say, we're going to do this. We need to set ourselves up for retirement early. And that's what we did. So that's what set us off on the journey. But I'll let Daz talk about maybe our setup and where we're calling in from today.
Sure. So we're one of the places that we visited that solidified that this was the life for us was the Ningaloo. So we left our hometown of Torquay, which is on the surf coast of Victoria. Almost, they call it the start of the Great Ocean Road, but it really begins at Lorne. But Torquay is a major surf town where surfing industry was sort of born. So Quicksilver and Rip Curl, and it's a magnificent place to live. But it's really, really cold for a large portion of the time. And so when we took off in our Kombi, our journey was to come up to Exmouth, do the Ningaloo and start hopping home. And we got to the Ningaloo and we fell in love with it. We just fell in love with it. So we just knew that this was the place that we'd want to return to. And so that's where we currently are at the moment. So we've been fortunate enough. We spent a lot of last year on the Ningaloo and we've returned this year to the Ningaloo. And it's off-grid camping in the section that we're at. We're currently at South Lefroy, which is part of the Ningaloo precinct, and below us is the Warra Station area. And we've done a lot of exploring around here. Our setup is a Ram 2100 5.7 V8 with a off-road canopy on it and a Ram 15. Does it call?
You called it a 2100. I've never heard of that.
No, well, it's a year 2100. 2020. I haven't even had a drink for a couple of days. Maybe that's the problem. With an off-road creative canopy on the back of it that's all set up. And we've got a 21-foot Sojourn. How did we arrive at two of those things? We did a lot of this. We did not so much podcasts years ago because I guess they're gaining in popularity now, but we did a lot of YouTube research. We did a lot of deep diving into families and how they travelled and why they had their setups the way that they had them. And we also watched the progression of a lot of people. And so we watched them start with a certain sort of, a lot of them were dual cabs and utilities, and then they'd go to a different sort of formats, and their vans would change and their travel setups would change. And we're very, very practical, and we're very much pay once and pay the right price and don't do it too many times. And so we said, we know that this lifestyle is for us. We've had a great experiment in the Kombi, and if anyone can live in a Kombi for 6 months in this heat over here, we knew that if we moved up to a more upgraded version, that we'd be able to travel really easy. So we decided that a canopy was fit for purpose for us on an American vehicle to make sure that we were well within our towing and legal limits. So we've had a couple of hiccups along the way, as most people do in their travel journey, but overall, we're still loving life out on the road.
Fantastic. And for people who want to visit the Ningaloo, you guys seem to be pretty much the experts, being there last year and this year, and of course, way back when you travelled in your Kombi. What are your hot tips?
Oh, geez. I'm reluctant to call us experts. I'm sure there's plenty more people out there that know more than us. I think the booking system is like a hot topic all the time. No matter who you talk to, when you arrive at one of the Ningaloo campgrounds, you end up talking about the booking system. There's work going on, I think, behind the scenes to try and fix it, change it, fine tune it. I think what the tip from me on getting a good booking was to be flexible about our dates. And we had to log on at 3:00 in the morning because we were in Victoria at the time, 180 days in advance, and just try and get a booking. Once we got the first booking, that was in our placeholder, and we could then start booking around that. But I think being flexible about dates and locations was probably a good tip in terms of at least getting a booking. There seems to be a lot of cancellations as well in terms of bookings. So even if you don't have a booking in advance, your likelihood of being able to get a site is still pretty high. You just have to be willing to, you might have 2 nights on one site and 3 on another. You've got to be willing to move. So that's one tip about the booking system. In terms of location, other tips, I would say be prepared in terms of water. You know, it's a long way to go and get fresh water. There's no drinking water out here, and particularly at Ningaloo Station, where the roads are so rough, it's taking 2.5 hours to get back into town for water and supplies. So carry a water bladder would probably be one of my big tips, and be prepared with food as well. Know that you've got enough to last you. No one wants to run out of food.
No.
or alcohol.
Or alcohol.
Or beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Beer
think
or
one of the
wine.
big ones is that a lot of people, if they just look at the Ningaloo station and areas like this on the map, as the crow flies, the distance isn't that big.
Yeah.
And so when you leave Exmouth and you come down to Yardie Creek, that's all on the blacktop, and it's a really, really easy drive. It's just on normal supported roads. Once you cross Yardie Creek and come across into this part of Ningaloo Station, the road deteriorates rapidly. It's very, very sandy. It's not maintained. So you have a lot of potholes. It's very, very rocky, shaly in areas. And for full-time travelers or even just a weekend person coming out, you have to do that stuff slow. Now, there are the people that go, yep, get on top of the ruts and just go hard. And look, you can do that, but stuff will break. And because we've spent so much time here, we've met so many people with broken cars, and us even this year where our rooftop platform had been vibrating so much that the brackets had actually snapped when we finally made it back into town. And we travel very, very slow. And I cite to people our statement that this is our home. So our car combination is our home. So why would we destroy it? Yeah. And we're now retired. We're self-funded retirees. We just don't have an endless fund to keep buying a new car each year. So we have to look after our product, and stuff still breaks. So the distance traveling, there was a lady that came in here the other day, a single lady with a daughter, and I was saying to her, what you need to do is for your trip back out, she'd come in on the southern side of town. She was going back in for some supplies. And I suggested for her to leave early in the morning. She got caught up and she left around 11 o'clock. She didn't return until 9:30 that night, and she was quite shocked. We were almost about to set out a search party to go and look for her to make sure that she was okay, and the road conditions had caught her out.
Mhm.
And she didn't have comms, which is not, in my opinion, a smart thing to do. So
Yeah.
she didn't have Starlink. She didn't have a UHF radio. And really, in these areas, that's a little bit silly. There's a
Yeah.
lot
So
of
that
it.
was
Yeah, there's a
crucial.
lot of information just at our fingertips. These little things. Jump on some of the forums. Jump on YouTube. Listen to podcasts like yours, because most of us are really, really happy to share the experiences and make it easier for the next generation coming through of travellers. I remember when we were leaving, our financial planner was saying that the figures of retirees in Australia was going to be, for the next few years, was it 3,300 per week. So
Wow.
there's going to be a lot of those guys that choose to travel. It's a great lifestyle, but yeah, just dig in and do a little bit of research, and you're going to have your journey a lot better, in our
Yeah,
opinion. So research is key.
Mm.
Research, research, research. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, great tips. Thanks very much for that. And I know we're recording this now early November. What are the temperatures like up there at the moment?
It's been above 30 every day since we've been here, which has been three weeks that we've been here this time. But it doesn't feel hot. Because it's been so windy, there's been a sea breeze every single day that cools it down. At night times, we've been putting on trackies and jumpers.
That's how acclimatized
I
we've
know,
become.
I know. I even had a beanie on the other night. We've had our Ugg boots on as well. But daytime, it's been quite pleasant, in terms of the temperature. So whilst it says it's 30 or 30 plus, I think it was 35 yesterday, the feels like temperature is probably more like about 28, 27. So,
Yeah,
Right.
March through to May is the golden part of the season here, where it's absolutely beautiful. So long, balmy days, low wind, glassy ocean conditions, and it's absolutely perfect. We got here in February. And so we knew we were on the beginning of the season, and we stumbled into some 47 degrees and 46. We had 10 days over 45, and that was almost not tolerable. It
almost
was,
broke us.
yeah, and
Yeah.
we had an electrical fault, so we had no air conditioning, and so we were hot. Our parts were going to take another month to get here, and so it caught us out. So we would have been able to survive it really, really easy. Well, not so easy, but it was, and that was, some people said, oh, well, why don't you just jump in the ocean? At 46 degrees, just being externally outside in that sort of heat for an extended period of time, your dehydration levels escalate. So then you're tapping into all the water that you've carried in to these remote locations. So the whole lot starts to cascade a little bit. So coming early or coming late. So late gets the big wins, early gets the big heat. So trying to fit in the middle is your primary one. But everyone knows that, so trying to get a spot then gets harder. Yeah. So the booking
Yeah.
system, it's notorious. Yeah, as Lee said, years and years ago, it used to be run by the farmer who ran Ningaloo Station. And so it was you came in, you met him at the gate. He would then take your booking, and off you'd go. You'd find your spot. Parks have now taken over, like they have in a lot of states now, taken over a lot of these leaseholders, and they're running the camps. And so their booking systems have been a little bit clunky, and there's been some techniques that some crew have used to book the system to their advantage. Ghost camping is amazing because the fee is low, like in some cases $8 or $10 a day. Some of the people will book out extended blocks and then not turn up because the weather's not perfect for them, especially if they live within a reasonable travel distance. So you can get here. This booking system says that the camp's totally booked, but it's at 60% capacity and no one's here. The other night we were here out in the booking system. There's 67 sites here, and there was only 17 people here, but most of it was still booked out. But with the extreme weather variations, a lot of the ghost campers didn't turn up. So people who are travelling through, a lot of people will give you advice saying, "Oh, we went to the Ningaloo and we got in." Well, you might get in, and I'll say that might. But there was another person that we've come across. I think they had 4 weeks here, and every 2 nights they were moving. And these are difficult sites. They're in soft sand. They're not easy setups and packups. It's not just moving one side of a caravan park to another. They're quite
Mm.
they're quite difficult. A lot of them are tight to get into and all that sort of stuff. And personally, I don't want to be setting up and packing down my awning and all the gear that you've bought outside every 2 days to move to another site. If that's what you have to do to stay here, well, then that's what you have to do. Most of us prefer sort of blocks of a week or more to make it a little bit more enjoyable. So,
Yeah,
it's
that makes sense to me. I'm not sure what the answer is to this ghost camping situation. I think if they brought in a hefty fine, maybe, to
But
stop people
yeah,
doing it.
yeah. Or like I think to stop people booking it in the first place if they don't have an intention to come would be
Mm,
something like a non-refundable booking fee or something that, if you book
yeah,
it, well, yeah, and you turn up, great. But if you don't, you forfeit your booking fee. I don't, that might stop some people just making so many random bookings with no
yeah,
intention of coming. But
yeah.
I don't
So
know.
if they had a, I don't know, $200 booking fee that was refundable when you checked
yeah.
in or something
Yeah.
like that, it might
Yeah.
stop it. But who
Yeah,
knows?
Right.
this was an odd example, and I don't like giving off odd ones, but there was one area that we camped in, and there was a really unusual circumstance where I said to there was a camp host, when there's camp hosts in a lot of these places that are volunteers that do the bookings and check-ins for you. They give you some local advice and all that sort of stuff on the area. And I'd said to them, how come site 1 and 3 have been vacant now for 10 days? And they'd found out that the person on site 2 had booked either site so that they had more privacy. Now, these were probably 2 of the biggest site areas on the whole Ningaloo. I won't mention the specific site, but most of them had about 50 metres in between each other. So this individual had taken it upon himself. So it's only $8 a night for him to book the other sites out. But selfishly, he's stopping another family. He's stopping another couple. He's 2 other families, or just 2 individuals, 2 people from around the world that have travelled all the way over here to come and experience this beautiful part of Australia. And they're getting better at stopping that. There's a new release they've got some new technology where they're picking up a few more of those sorts of multiple booking people that have been a bit greedy with the system. I think it's going to be a little while. The way that it's a slow moving improvement, but they're working on it.
Yeah.
So,
And it goes totally against my grain to say this, but maybe they have to be more expensive. Maybe it's too
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, look,
I mean,
I love the expensive booking fee is refundable.
Yep.
That's a classic.
yeah,
Put
if
$500
you
on
say,
your credit card, and if you don't,
Yep.
you forfeit it, and that then would just peel them out. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. Yeah, yeah, and I agree totally. It's how selfish.
Oh,
Yeah.
and look, 99% of the people you meet along here, we have made some long-term friendships, friendships for life. We've met some amazing people. It's only the 1 or 2%ers, just like normal society,
Yeah.
Yes.
where there are people that go against the grain and do things for their own self-interest.
Yeah.
And it probably stands out a little bit more here because everyone you do meet is generally really, really good. And they're out here for the same reasons. They're out here because
Yeah.
it's a beautiful spot. They're out here because it's an amazing place on the planet and they're doing the right thing.
Mm.
It's like the campers that we've got some friends that are hosting at the moment, and you're not allowed in here if you're not self-contained and predominantly with a toilet, so that there's not human feces left around the camp area that you book. And they're getting pushback from some of the tourists that come here saying, well, we don't have a toilet, but we'll be right. Well, no,
No.
you're not right. It's on
And
the
the
book.
rule is the rule.
The rules are simple, and they're here to protect us, and none of us want to wake up in the morning or pull into a site where somebody's defecated the day before. That's just not what we signed up for. So,
No.
there are portable toilets now that are quite inexpensive for you to travel. You don't need a setup like this. You can travel in a rooftop car or a little van that's four-wheel drive to get into these spots. Just bring a chemical toilet and you're fine.
Yeah,
So
totally.
it's only a small percentage generally. Yeah.
We froze.
It
Oh,
would-
no.
no, don't do that again. It does tell me it doesn't matter if it's grainy or drops out or whatever, it's still recording. So
Righto. Okay.
we'll keep them going. We might call this episode the Ningaloo episode.
Yes. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good because I know people are pretty frustrated with the whole system, and it's so nice to grab a booking when you can and
Yeah.
experience that part of the world or part of
Yeah.
Australia for sure. And I guess with your name, The Salty Life, you love boating. I know you've got a boat and you've been out a couple of times. What's the fishing like up there?
Probably not the right person to ask that. As far as being a fisherman, I'm an amazing surfer.
Oh, right.
So that means that normally they can be sometimes hand in glove, but I'm not one of those guys. I'm very, very new. We both are very, very new to the fishing world, and we haven't had an awful lot of great what's the word I'm looking for? We haven't had a lot of
Catches?
success. That we've become really, really good as squid fisher people, but
Well, that counts.
generally. Yeah, we've had a lot of fun meals and shared a lot of fun plates of squid around the camps with lots and lots of people.
Yum.
But the big fish, some of the good guys are catching some great fish. They're catching Spanish mackerel, dolphin fish, some really amazing good quality fish here. I personally haven't had that sort of luck, but lots and lots of people have. So it very much is a fisher's paradise. The further north you go, the better it got for me. And I went out with some friends out of Onslow in a big boat. We've got a rubber True Kit inflatable, and in a plate boat or something that's more solid. That there's a lot of sharks up here, and you get sharked off an awful lot. And when you're sitting out the front of the reef in a rubber boat and a shark's trying to take your fish, he's going to take your fish no matter what. But you don't want him too close to your boat. So we've had one really, really scary time where the shark got really too close to the pontoon, gave us a big fright. But we've had a lot of fun. We've had an awful lot of fun. Would I recommend traveling with a boat? Absolutely. We did our first years to help anyone who doesn't know us. We're 2 years into full-time life on the road, and we travelled our first year without a boat. I don't want to use the word, but I'm going to have to. It's a game changer. It really did change it all up for us, and it just gave us so many more opportunities to explore, to find little pockets that weren't busy, just experiences. We were travelling with our little fur puppy Oz, and he loved the boat experience, and he would come out fishing with us all the time, and we just really fell into it, didn't we? We really, really got really comfortable with it quick. We had a steep learning curve. Lots of people helped us, and we're now feeling quite competent, and we couldn't travel now without a boat. My surfing career, especially up in this area of the world, has been declining as I've passed 60. I've had 2 knee surgeries in the last 12 months, last 18 months. So that's kept me out of the water a lot. So fishing has been a great new hobby for us to spend time together and share our time together on the Ningaloo. So if anyone was thinking of just traveling in general, I would say that boating does change a lot of opportunities for you, give you a lot of opportunities to do more as you're traveling. Yeah, highly recommend it.
Yeah.
But in terms of our name, that really came from our whole history has been being coastal dwellers, and we crave the salt and the sand and the sun, and so we're chasing the endless summer, and whatever we do, that there's got to be salt water. We haven't attempted to go inland yet. We are planning to do Uluru and the Flinders Ranges next year, but it'll be interesting to see how we go being away from the ocean. So yeah, that's where our salty life came from.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
surfing, stand-up paddleboarding, kite surfing have been the major parts of our life. Lee did go through a period of time where she was doing some surfing back in a younger, but again, the colder climate down in our way really knocked her around, or didn't make it as enjoyable. But our whole life has been
we've
very,
both
very
been
much
salty people.
our
Yeah,
holidays in
nice.
destinations where there's good surf and good beaches. That's just us.
Yeah, fair enough. And do you find now that you have a boat that you tend to look for places because of that? Has that changed how you travel?
I don't think it really has changed where we go. I mean, in terms of say we're going to Warra Station next week, we know there are some campgrounds where it's easy to launch the boat. So we'll be more likely to choose those campgrounds. But we wouldn't rule out going to a particular town or area because you couldn't boat. So no, not really.
So, and we just did the Pilbara. We just went up and the Dampier Peninsula, and that's generally not an area that you want to play in an inflatable boat an awful lot. And we did. And that's actually where we did have our scare with the sharks, because the sharks up there seem to be even more prevalent. There's a lot of them. You almost just can't get a fish to the boat without being, they call it, getting taxed by the tax man. So the sharks just, like, as soon as the boat comes into an area, they just hover under the boat waiting for you to bring a fish to their dinner plate. So we definitely...
Before we went up there, we weren't intending to get the boat out at all, but we wouldn't have missed it. It was like, we'll still go even if we can't get the boat out.
Yeah. And we will eventually get around to doing the Northern Territory, and we'll miss using the boat, but I don't think we'll be with the big snappy snappies up there. I don't think we'll be playing with our rubber boat too much. So we might hire one occasionally and make friends with people who have got boats. So keep a lookout for us. We're always keen to get hired on as deckies all the time. And we find a lot of travellers are like that, a lot of travellers will just say, hey, I'm going out in my boat. Do you want to come along for keep me company? And we had a mantra a few years ago that's become a mantra, where we used to say, oh no, thank you for the opportunity again, but go out and enjoy your day. And we turned around one time and we said, we're going to learn to say yes. If we get invited to do something, we'll say yes.
Fantastic experiences from saying yes.
It's brought us some friendships. It's brought us some experiences that we probably would have never had, and it's now become part of our DNA. We choose to say yes a lot more often now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I know Kev went fishing with a friend in Karumba, and the fishing up there was fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Yeah, only in very shallow water, pretty close to the coast. But yeah, they came home every time they could go out when, it wasn't windy or whatever. Yeah, the fishing was fantastic. So yes, we've experienced that, and say yes. Why not?
Yeah. Well, we've got a friend who's got a holiday property there, and also runs a commercial fishing license. He's from Cairns, but he's got a property in Karumba, and so we're hoping to get over there and experience a bit more. I've done a trip up into the north of the Gulf back when I was a young fella. So Lee's never seen that part of the world, and it's pretty wild and crazy up there. So I'm really, really looking forward to getting to that part of the world, which might be about a year and a half away for us at the moment. We think we tend to be very, very loose with our travel plans, and we don't extend out too much. But we think next year we're going to go over to the East Coast and eventually get up into the Cape. So that's our sort of loose direction for next year.
Yeah, cool. So when you leave the Ningaloo, are you heading north or south?
We're heading south. So we haven't done the southwest corner yet. So we wanted to do that, again, chasing the endless summer. We wanted to do that in the good weather. So we're going to go down there and spend a few months down south over summer, and then we'll head back across and head up to Uluru, meeting a friend for her birthday in April at Uluru. So that's kind of our plan, and then meeting some friends to do the Cape York trip in Cairns in July. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Have you got anything booked in the southwest?
Yeah, just over Christmas because of school holidays. So we've got a booking at a hip camp for a few nights, and we're flying home for Christmas itself. So we'll go home for 2 weeks and see our granddaughter and our kids, and then come back, and we've got some bookings at Gracetown and around the Margaret River region until the school holidays end, and then we'll free range it after that.
Yeah. Cool. We haven't got anything booked yet, and we're down. We're planning.
I like to have the school holidays booked, and especially if you're going to be in places that are popular. So like Margaret River.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good tip.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay, I'll start the questions now.